Okay, so, I mean, we probably shouldn't pussyfoot around here. I mean, what you guys want to just get right into it?
If you
Yeah,
like.
I guess so. We do have a lot to talk about, don't we?
We might be here all night. The Nintendo Direct event starts in 10 hours, and it takes a couple hours to record this and a couple hours to edit and post it, so I might not even sleep tonight.
Yep.
Might just be fucked. But here's the thing. We represent a pretty good cross-section, because I saw all of the conferences, like, explicit, excruciating detail. Robert saw, like, half of them, and then Johnny saw like, just a little bit. So we're the full spectrum of perspectives here. I like it.
All right.
So should we just go through them as they came, I guess?
I think I'll give, because, I mean, people who are listening to this, a lot of them probably saw it and a lot of them probably didn't. So I'll go through each conference in order, in enough detail for people who didn't see them to get an idea, but not so much as to bore people who did see it.
That sounds good
for me.
Did you have an intro, Johnny?
You bet I got an intro for you, son. I always have an intro. One of these days I'm going to come in here and you'll be like, Johnny, you don't get to do your intro today. I'm sick and fucking tired of your bullshit. Shut the fuck up. And I'll be like,
and that'll be the day he doesn't have one.
But yeah, I got an intro today. If you want to do that, I'm ready to go.
Hit us up, my Diglett.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Television for People Who Don't Have Time for Television, where we, Johnny Maloney, my co-host Austin Yorsky, and our special guest, returning champion from last week, Mr. Robert Heck, review synopsis versions of television shows, recount synopsized versions of television shows for you so you can catch up on all your favorite drama, comedy, and reality shows without having to sit down and actually watch them. This last week on Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay called someone a fuckhead, told them to get the fuck out, and then someone cooked something badly and was kicked off the show. On this week's Hannibal, a dude got killed, got shot in the head, and people may or may not have been eaten. Not the same person. Austin, do you want to go over what happened on Game of Thrones this week?
I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I heard a bunch of people died. Is that spoilers? Should I edit that out?
That was
people always die.
Week. That was last week, Austin. Try and keep up, please. This isn't television for people who want to, like, Netflix a whole season of TV in one night. It's people who are interested in hearing about last week's episode and, you know, just kind of idly being like, oh, that sounds kind of dramatic.
If you were really interested in Game of Thrones, you should just read the books, you lazy bitches.
He is right, actually.
Yeah, kinda.
Although I will tell you the truth. I read like the first either 3 or 4 books of Game of Thrones, and I find that it lends itself to a visual medium far more than it does the written word.
That's just because of all the boobs, right?
No, actually, it's because of the nuance. You know, like it's.
Are they nuanced boobs?
Well, the boobs are incredibly nuanced.
There are nuanced boobs, but.
Yes, yeah, the boobs are incredibly nuanced. But what I mean is that because the books are written in first-person perspective, it doesn't do a very good job of characterizing the agendas of other people. And when you watch the television show, when you sit down and watch the TV show, and you have all of these people sitting around a table kind of like giving each other the eye that's sort of like, are you going to stab me? Are you going to stab me? Is that guy going to stab me? Are you going to tell that guy to stab me? You know, and it's like everybody's kind of like, you know, jockeying for position, and you can see it all at once. Like it's a story that hinges very, very distinctly on the idea of ulterior motives and secret agendas and, like, you know, backroom deals and underhanded agreements and whatnot. And I think that the drama lends itself to the visual medium a little more than the actual written word.
Because everyone tuned into the BT podcast after E3 to listen to you talk about Game of Thrones, Jonathan.
Hey, there is never a bad time to bring up Game of Thrones.
Yeah, fuck you.
I've been up for like 20 hours. There's no food in my apartment. I've just been eating sugar this entire day to get through. So I'm like really jittery right now. You think I'm exaggerating for comedic effect, but I'm like shaking bodily right now.
No, dude, I completely sympathize, except instead of there only being sugar, right now, all I have going on in my head are fucking IKEA diagrams.
Were you trying to put together your Smorgasbords?
Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm so fucking sick and tired of putting IKEA together.
Wait, you put together IKEAs?
Yeah, have you never been to IKEA, Robert?
No, I mean, you literally put together the stores, do you?
Oh, Jesus
yes.
Christ. This joke's not going anywhere. We're going to talk about E3. I don't care
Quick,
if you guys come along
to
or
the
not.
video games! So in case you guys didn't know, there's this thing going on right now that there are sort of varying opinions about in the video game industry. Some people are like, wow, I fucking love this thing. Other people are like, wow, I fucking hate this thing. And other people are like, do I get a sandwich? It's called E3, which is the abbreviated name for the Electronic Entertainment Exposition, where all kinds of people who want your money all get together in one place and tell you why you should give it to them in the future. And, in recent years, I believe that the spotlight on E3 has shifted away from what used to be the floor show, where you would go around, or what is still the floor show. See, that's how much the spotlight has shifted. I'm referring to it in the past tense. So the floor show, where you go around and talk to devs and see demos and play games and, all this, kind of hands-on journalism-y stuff that you would hope that responsible people interested in giving you the best kind of reporting that you could possibly want about your future video game endeavors would be willing to give. But the spotlight shifted from that now to these media blitz events, these conferences.
The advent of streaming technology means that everyone can kind of get the E3 experience without the 3 days of sweating and being close proximity to people who don't bathe and just generally having to do work. All of that unpleasantness. Now you can just kind of sit down and watch it and then be done with it.
So at the recording of this podcast, we have so far seen, I say we, because between the three of us, we've seen all of them.
I've seen all of them. That's all that matters.
We've seen most of the conferences. The only one that we're lacking at the current point in time is Nintendo's, which, again, as of recording of this podcast, is going to be up in about 10 hours. 10 hours from now.
Theirs isn't so much a conference. It's their live direct event, and it's going to be only an hour long, as opposed to their ones, which are about hour and a half, 2 hours. And they've already pretty much confirmed everything is going to be there. Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, Mario 3D for the Wii U, a couple other things probably. But they might have a surprise, but I don't think we're going to miss too much by recording this now. I bet when people listen to this, they're going to think I fast-forwarded my voice because I'm hearing how fast I'm talking. This is actually how fast I'm talking right now. I apologize.
Keep going. You were doing well.
Was I? Do you want to jump into the first conference, guys? It was Microsoft.
The Microsoft conference.
Came first. Let me run you through it here. I'll just give you the lowdown. They started with Metal Gear Solid 5, which is not exclusive. It looked really good, though. Then they went World of Tanks, not exclusive. I'm trying to think. There was a couple other things. It took about 20 minutes to get to the exclusives. The first, I think the very first exclusive they showed was Max Curse of Brotherhood or something. It looks like a...
Yeah,
actually, it was that Connect Sports Rivals thing.
Well, they didn't show that at the conference. That was actually at a pre-stream event with game trailers or something. Technically, the first confirmed game of the evening was Connect Sports Rivals. That was not at the presser.
My bad.
But yeah, I guess that technically is first. But is it Max Curse of Brotherhood was the first?
Max Curse of Brotherhood, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a little, I think it's indie, but not super excited. The first one they pinned their hopes on was Rise from Crytek, which was supposed to come out years ago, and now it just looks like QuickTime Events, the game. I don't know if you guys seen the footage, but
I didn't even watch Rise. I have ceased paying attention to Crytek because Servat Yurley, the guy in charge, has his head so far up his own Kool-Aid drinking ass. Every time I hear this guy talk about the future of the industry, I'm like, no.
It looked slick. It was CryEngine 3, and it looked nice, but it just looked like it was all cinematic moments and QuickTime events. So someone who just played God of War 2 and was like, oh, we got to do that.
Yeah,
and it's
really
free to
seem
play,
like
isn't it? Is it free to play? It's not free to play. Is it free to play?
No.
Because I know that Crytek is all free to play.
Well, that thing is, they came really late to that train, and now that train's kind of leaving. So I don't know if they're even interested in it anymore.
I think they're trying to like chase after it, but it's pulling out of the station too fast.
Yeah. So Rise was the first big Xbox One thing that Microsoft showed that really got people talking, although the talk was kind of not all positive. Next, Killer Instinct, which was the much touted Rare franchise that got back, although it's not being developed by Rare. I think Double Helix is the studio that's doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
Rare is doing Kinect Sports, so it is a Rare it's a Rare license, but they're not doing it. Killer Instinct actually looked pretty interesting. It's not clear if it's going to be a full like retail release, a $60, $70 game, because it looked kind of cheap, but it looks, it had personality, I gotta say.
Dude, we are gonna party like it's 1996.
I'm so disappointed. They should have gotten the people who are presenting it to do a combo breaker. Why would you show Killer Instinct and not have one combo breaker?
No, you know what? They should have started showing the trailer for another game, and then just out of nowhere, combo breaker, and then Killer Instinct pops up.
That would have been fucking sick.
You are mistaking these people for people who actually know what the appeal of the old Killer Instinct game is, I think.
What's funny is Killer Instinct itself was like big news, but the thing that came out of it actually, which I don't know if you guys saw this because it was happening at the time, the quote unquote like first big controversy of E3 was that they were demoing it. There was a man and a woman playing it, and the man who was playing it was just absolutely crushing the woman, just beating the shit out of her in the game. And she's like, "Oh no, I can't block. I don't like this." And he goes, "Just lay back and accept it. This is happening." And the internet was not comfortable with the implications of that. I mean, we know that the fighting game community is kind of has a reputation for misogyny. And then some people are saying it was a rape joke. Some people are saying, it's just unfortunately phrased. No matter what, it was not the best foot forward.
No.
Really.
It was uncomfortable, at least, and pretty just tasteless, just all around. I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and grandstand and say it was a straight up rape joke, but it should. To
me, it sounds like a surgery joke. So just lay back, accept this. This is happening. Look, your kidney.
So that was our first controversy for the day. If you want that there, the next big moment for me personally was when they were showing, was it Forza 5? They kept saying the word Drivatar.
I liked the idea of the Drivatar. I just don't like the name.
Yeah. He kept saying it. It was like one thing. It was like a one-off, but he 15 times. It's like, we get it.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I did not see that part of the Microsoft presentation. When you just said Drivatar, I just imagined the sweetest hot rod where the accelerator pedal is basically how awesome your guitar solos are. If you want to go faster, you gotta wail on this motherfucker. And then, of course, there'd be, amps pointing out everywhere. So you'd be, driving down the highway in your regular car, and then this dude would just come, driving by in this car with, chrome fucking everywhere and flames spewing out of it. And he's like... I'd be like, oh... And then probably get into a car accident.
I just kind of thought of Avatar with a car driving in every once in a while.
Stay with me here, Robert. It gets stranger.
Okay.
The next thing they showed, which is actually, I think the first, I want to say, the first new IP, the first new exclusive IP they showed off, which was called Sunset Overdrive. It's by Insomniac, the studio who did Ratchet and Clank, and they recently released Fuse, which used to be an interesting game called Overstrike, and is now the shitty game called Fuse. But Sunset Overdrive looks more like Overstrike used to look, which is really silly, really colorful. It kind of looks like it was all pre-rendered CG, but it looks like parkour and shooting and enemies made out of orange soda.
It kind of reminded me of a more stylized Brink.
Yeah, it looked like if
how could you possibly get a more stylized Brink?
Have you seen the trailer?
No, I haven't.
Stylized Brink.
Okay, a better stylized Brink.
Yeah.
That I can accept. All right.
Brink had a little bit of a unique art direction, but it was still kind of generic. Sunset Overdrive looks like it actually finished that trajectory of being interesting.
Yeah, by Insomniac, and I trust those guys quite a lot.
Well, it was kind of a huge surprise because Insomniac used to be a Sony second-party developer, more or less. Fuse is multi-platform, but Ratchet and Clank and Resistance were always exclusive, so having it be an Xbox One exclusive is a pretty big deal in and of itself.
I don't know if it's so much a big deal, so much as it is just like a different deal. No,
Well,
I mean, like really, no, it's same shit, different pile. Let's be honest here.
well, I mean, if Lionhead had announced a PS4 exclusive, I'd be like, whoa. So, these things happen, I guess. But
They do. They really do.
still worth comment. The next exclusive new IP they showed, because Microsoft brought the thunder. They brought a game called D4.
I saw D4. Interested in D4.
Yep, it's by Swery65, a.k.a. Deadly Premonition guy. It's going to be episodic and have some kind of Kinect stuff in it. It was a pretty short video they showed, but it had a unique art style and feel to it. So that's another thing that's pretty interesting. They also showed Quantum Break, which is the Remedy Entertainment thing. We actually saw something of substance this time. I believe it was still pre-rendered CGI, but it showed basically like the characters walking into a room where everything was floating. It was they stopped time and they could like interact with it, which is better than what we got before, which was the live action and then that little bit of a boat crashing. So that's a little bit more exciting, but still, Quantum Break, I have to see some actual gameplay before I make any judgments about that. Did you guys feel anything for the new footage?
I didn't actually get to see Quantum Break. I'm a big fan of Remedy Entertainment, but until I get a little bit more about the game, because they're still being pretty tight-lipped about it. They're just sort of like, Quantum Break, it'll change your face and maybe your teeth. And I'm like, I like my teeth.
Yeah, I saw the trailer too, and I like Remedy a lot too, and I'm pretty much on the same boat. It looks pretty cool, but I want to see substance before I just have a judgment call on it. Although I do admit, the whole time stop did look pretty cool when he was just pushing aside glass shards in the air.
Yeah, it was visually very well done. I just wish some of it was in-game footage, is what I'm saying. Yeah. They also showed off a game, or at least a thing, called Project Spark, which they basically was all voice commands, and it was just like generating environments and stuff. It was weird. It wasn't really clear how it worked, but it was kind of almost like a game-making piece of software. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to market it, if it's actually a game, but some people were saying it's kind of like Xbox's answer to Little Big Planet. Did you guys catch any of this?
Yeah.
No.
What do you think? Do you think is it like a game, do you think, or is it just going to be like a thing where people make games in it?
I think it is kind of going to be a lot like Little Big Planet, but honestly, I'm not sure how much of that. It could have all been preset, so we don't exactly know how it's all going to work when you actually get to play with it yourself. Yeah. But I will admit, the fact that you could change a rock into a pet, and then change it into a soldier, and then change it into a mech was kind of cool.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because obviously when you show something on a stage at a presentation, it's going to look one way, and when you get it home, it's going to look somewhere else. So could it be like, a Scribble Knots game where there's a lot of freedom, but you're still, you're defined to a couple, there's some restrictions, right? You need only nouns and adjectives. So you can't just do whatever you want. The way they showed it made it seem like the possibilities are infinite, but they know where the actual invisible walls are.
Yeah. I believe they call that particular practice in the industry PR.
Yes. So there was that. Another thing I have here in my notes. This is just, I guess, sequentially how I took them. That Microsoft is partnering with Twitch TV, so you can stream Xbox One footage while you're playing it, which is kind of in opposition to the PlayStation 4. They partnered with Ustream. So if you're the kind of person who cares about streaming services, I suppose that would be interesting to you. I think Twitch has a slightly better reputation than Ustream, so...
Man, that was just what I was thinking to myself. You know what the internet needs? Way more amateur broadcasters.
Well, I'm sure if you're the kind of person who streams gameplay footage, this is interesting to you. The average consumer, I don't think they care. So
I know.
I know you're being wry.
I'm being wry. It's a feature that could be useful to people. Absolutely, I totally understand that, but it seems so very niche.
Speaking of niche, the next game they showed off was Crimson Dragon, spiritual successor to Panzer Dragoon. This is notable because the Microsoft presentation actually derped and the sound cut out, so we didn't hear anything, and people in the audience started making like whooshing noises and stuff as the dragon was flying around. It's pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
But they've uploaded the video. You can watch that on BT now. It has the sound, and it looks great. So that's a thing. I'm pretty excited about that. A lot of people are. It's a cult series, but in addition to Killer Instinct, it showed that Microsoft was listening to some fans at least.
That's good. That's good. The question is it going to be as cool as Dragon Commander?
What the hell is Dragon Commander?
Divinity Dragon Commander is this, like, it's a real-time strategy game that's coming out in July, I think it is, where instead of it being, like, over top, you actually play the commander on the battlefield. You have to, like, go around and get in fights and give orders and shit like that. And you are a dragon, but get this. You are a dragon with a fucking jetpack.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm gonna make note of that. That's the thing to watch for. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So far in the exclusives, right? We got Rise, we got Max, Curse of Brotherhood, Killer Instinct, Sunset Overdrive, Forza, D4, Quantum Break, Project Spark.
Wait. Are they making a new Madden game?
Damn it, Johnny. Yes, of course they are. Madden 25 is coming to every platform known to man.
We'll get to it at EA. We'll get to EA, man.
Sorry, I was worried there for a second.
You slowed my roll, son. Crimson Dragon. And then, here's the bomb that dropped. Dead Rising 3, Xbox exclusive. Yeah. That right there, if they had just shown the logo and said, Dead Rising 3, Xbox One exclusive, boom. That would have been big enough. But the footage they showed of it, which was in-game gameplay footage, was actually really good looking. It doesn't look goofy like the old Dead Risings. I like those. I'm just saying, this looked like, quote unquote realistic zombie apocalypse. Like, just shit's going down and you're in the city. So it'll be interesting if they take it in a new direction, but I'm not opposed to this new direction. I mean, did you guys get any kind of vibes off of it?
I saw it, and I do have to agree with you as well that yeah, it appears they're kind of taking it in a new direction. And I mean, all at once I'm sort of like, interesting. Okay, you're trying new things with the Dead Rising series. And on the other hand, I'm like, man, I really needed another zombie game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are a billion zombie games, but this one is like one of the more advanced looking. If you're gonna play any one zombie game, it might need to be Dead Rising 3 as opposed to I don't know what there's the
Dying Light or whatever it is. Or...
Yeah, there's a couple of zombie games that got announced all on the same day. There was Dying Light, I think, is it Daylight or something?
Yeah, Daylight. That's the horror
Deadlight?
one.
No.
No, something else. My bad.
Yeah, Deadlight's already out, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to look this up now. I think Atlas is publishing the one we're talking about. I think it's written by Jessica Chobit.
Yeah.
In Mass Effect.
Right. And also on the programs.
Yeah, it's called Daylight. I was right.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of new zombie games coming out. Dead Rising 3 puts them all pretty much to shame, but it might leave a hole where its predecessors kind of filled it and is kind of being goofy, which I liked. Afterwards, Microsoft rolled out a couple other games. They had The Witcher 3 and Battlefield 4, neither of which are exclusive, but they looked nice. Then they had Halo.
Can we just jump back a second here, and I'm just going to go ahead and say that fucking The Witcher 3 I'm so stoked for. I'm going to eat that game. I am gonna somehow make that game into food, and I'm going to eat it and take it inside of me, and it will become a part of me. I want it! That is all!
I'm glad for you.
The Witcher 3 looked amazing, and that's why they wanted it there, obviously, because, I mean, it was coming to their system. Even if it's not exclusive, just showing it is kind of just like a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
What weird, though, they followed that with a Halo trailer, which didn't look like a Halo trailer. Some people were saying when they queued it up, it looked like Journey. There was like a man in a like shawl walking across the desert, and people were like, what the hell, is this Journey? And then the hood came back, and it was Master Chief. It was like, you have like $1 billion that armor you're wearing right now to protect you from the elements. Why are you wearing that?
Because it's just stylish, man.
It was the goofiest thing.
He didn't want to get the armor sandy. You ever get sand in your armor? Fucking Jesus Christ. Shit itches for weeks.
It was weird, but it looked nice, and the strangest thing was that it just said Halo coming to 2014. Like, are we rebooting it, or is it just a naming convention, or you guys just haven't thought of a subtitle yet?
I'm going to go with the last one. That's my thought. Although, they honestly should now subtitle it Journey. Halo's Journey.
I'm inclined to agree, Robert, actually. It occurs to me that they were, like, possibly scrambling around for stuff to talk about, and they were like, well, I mean, people will fucking be like, ooh, Microsoft's crazy. They came to E3 if they didn't bring a Halo game. They're like, but we don't have a Halo game. Okay, we'll start making a Halo game. What are we going to call it? Halo? All right, good. Print it. Let's go.
Yeah, I like to think that the teaser had nothing to do with the Halo game we're going to get someday. It was just a little thing they threw together to just be like, yep, Halo, we remember that exists.
I could see it.
There's a dude right now sitting in front of his computer deciding whether or not to put a 0 or a 1 down, and he's like, I'm
working on Halo.
Halo.
But yes, the last couple games they showed were all also exclusive new IP. There was something from Black Tusk Studios. They didn't give it a name, but it showed a person rappelling down a skyscraper.
I know some guys at Black Tusk Studios.
Ask them what the game's called.
I'll think
because they didn't tell us. There was a game called Below, which is from the studio that made Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery EP. Which, yes, I want that now. Now, if not sooner. And then Titanfall from Respawn, which is, they're calling it exclusive, but it's apparently still coming to PC, which isn't really exclusive.
It sort of is.
Compared to the competition, yeah. Well, Microsoft really doesn't consider...
Just in the sense as to, like, whether or not, you're going to buy a system. Because, if you're into PC gaming, I find people are less likely to buy consoles. This is just my experience. I might be like, okay, whatever, maybe you got a shitty PC, okay, so you buy consoles. But it's like, people that are going to buy consoles will be making the choice. They'll be like, well, if I'm going to buy a console, I think I'll make it this one because I want to play Titanfall.
Yeah.
So stuff coming to PC is almost like a non-event anymore. Like fucking Castlevania is coming to PC. DuckTales HD Remastered is coming to PC. Well, like, what the fuck's up with that?
Dude, Revengeance.
And the new Metal Gear Solid game. Or not Metal Gear Solid, but like, Peace Walker or whatever. Not Peace Walker. Is it Peace Walker? Fuck that. The Phantom Pain. Peace Walker happened. Fuck Peace Walker. No, the Phantom Pain is also going to be coming to PC as well. So it's sort of like...
I want to jump in. I don't think we have confirmation of that. It was running on a PC. I don't know if they're using it for PC. I think Revengeance is the test case for Konami.
Probably. Yeah. But in any case, Konami is bringing more of their games to PC. So yeah, when something comes out for the PC nowadays, I'm like, hey, business as usual.
Titanfall, honestly, I could see some people buying a system for that, because Titanfall looked good.
It looked good, and it's from the people who brought us Call of Duty, so it kind of comes with an installed fan base anyway.
Well, let's we can go ahead and talk about Call of Duty and be like, yeah, okay, that horse has been flogged to death for the past 4 or 5 years or something like that, But when Call of Duty first dropped on the scene, and it was like a World War II shooter, and its only reasonable competitor was like Medal of Honor, it did a lot of things that really ramped up the genre. It created a niche for itself, and it was good.
Dude, I've been a Call of Duty fan since 2, so I know what you're talking about. That was my jam.
Yeah.
Before it was popular. That's such a hipster thing to say. I was into Call of Duty before it was popular.
but we can say that without a doubt, definitely, I feel like they've flogged this horse to death and continued to flog it and can squeeze no more blood from this stone or gain water from this well, because they're just not... Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, the new one has a dog.
Yeah.
His name is Riley.
That's a good name.
So, the Titanfall footage is on BT if you want to watch it. I don't know how much time we're going to spend talking about robots shooting each other. It looked nice. But
it looks interesting, at least to say insofar that, I do agree with a lot of there are a lot of developers that are speaking out right now about how the future of gameplay, or the latest craze at least, because whenever anybody says the future of video games, it's like the future of video games is the N-Gage, and I'm like, oh yeah, no. The future of games is the free-to-play model. Oh, really? Okay, yeah, no. But a lot of game developers are talking up right now asymmetrical multiplayer, or just generally asymmetrical gameplay, and it looks like it's keyed up to deliver that, like it's ready to go on this. Hey, it's not just different skins in the same gun, so it could be interesting. I think Titanfall's worth keeping an eye on.
Certainly. And that's the games. You want me to run through them again, guys? Because I named a lot of games here. Microsoft was criticized for not...
I heard you the first time.
They were criticized for not bringing anything to their reveal event, and they brought it here. So I think that at least answers that criticism. As far as that goes. However, that's not the end of it.
There are other criticisms, Austin.
Oh yeah.
Well, they didn't address the big criticisms, which is where I was going with that, which is that they didn't say anything about used games or internet connectivity. They basically ignored everything that we've been bitching about. They just didn't address it. However, they did give us a price point, $500. What do you guys think about that?
I'm not going to buy it.
Do you think that is an intelligent price point from a marketing perspective? Do you see that as a reasonable, Johnny, whether or not it personally affects you as an industry observer?
Well, I have mixed opinions about it. I do have mixed opinions about it because it's obvious that they're trying to cut the price of this console down as much as they possibly can.
Can being the operative word there because they needed to stick the Kinect in there.
Yeah.
Which jacks up the price, but if they don't include it out of the box, they can't make every developer use it because they're not sure if they have the install base.
Yes, exactly.
So they might have kind of fucked themselves.
You're buying, like, let's say you're really keyed up for an Xbox. You're really excited about it. It looks good to you. You've always loved, like your Microsoft products. And you're like, man, I'm so excited about this. It's like, for you, it's like buying your favorite meal ever. It's like the best goddamn lasagna. But there's a shit salad next to it. And not like a shit salad as in it's like, oh, look, bean sprouts. But like a shit salad that they are making you pay for because the guy in the kitchen's really famous for his amazing shit salads. And that's galling. That's a little galling. To be like, yeah, it's on there. It's tacked in. You don't want it. We're giving it to you anyways. Give me money. So that kind of sucks.
I personally thought they were going to come in under 500. I thought that was a little higher than they would be willing to go, but it took me by surprise, and I think a lot of people were not happy about it. It wasn't like the PS3 reveal. People were just like, 500, it's a bit steep, It was kind of a exasperated reaction, not so much an angry one. But that was Microsoft's conference. They brought a lot of games, but they didn't address criticisms, and they had some bad news. So all in all, not the worst conference, but not the best. I think the best, just consistently across the board, is the one I'm moving into, which is a huge surprise. Because if you guys remember last year, Ubisoft, I thought, won hands down with Watch Dogs. Just killed it. While EA bored us fucking shitless. This year,
very specifically.
This year got all switched around. EA came and they killed it. I think EA, just across the board, quality, won E3 in terms of their show. They didn't have the best news. We'll get to that. But here's what EA showed. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, which sounds like a joke. But we broke this news a couple of days ago, I think. Did you? I don't remember what day it was, but that it was
first-person shooter.
Third person.
Oh, yeah, sorry, third-person shooter.
Third-person shooter, but it looks super cute. It's adorable.
It's a Plant vs. Zombies game. That's fucking hilarious.
Going into it, I wasn't feeling like I would come out wanting it or liking it or paying much attention to it, but after seeing it, I want the game. I really do, because it just looks like it's making so much fun of itself while it's being fun. I mean, when one of your boss zombies is literally a disco guy with an afro who crawls out of the grave and dances around to kill you, you have to be doing something right.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? I don't know if you guys ever played Stubbs the Zombie.
Oh, yes.
That sounds familiar. Was that for the PSP?
I do not know if it came out for PSP. I've never owned one of your infernal handheld consoles. You crazy portable monkey, you. No, it was this like, it was a zombie game set in sort of like a utopian future where it's like everything's wonderful with this kind of like, pseudo 1950s vibe, like almost Fallout before everything goes totally fucking like terrible. And then you like as a zombie, you just like rise from the grave and you're like, and it's like it's wacky, it's goofy, it's cheesy, it hits all the right notes. It has a really good soundtrack too, actually. There's all these like 1950s standard songs that they had all these, popular bands at the time kind of like cover. But yeah, it Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare reminded me of Stubbs the Zombie.
Yeah, I could see that.
Rebel Without a Pulse was the subtitle, I believe.
Yeah. To me, it was like you got kind of the Team Fortress vibe going on, lots of colors, and like kind of the dissonance between the violence and kind of the atmosphere that's going on. It's a lot happier, but it's still, I liked it, and I will probably play it.
Plus, there's also the different classes, which again, a lot like Team Fortress 2, that actually seem to play differently and are fun because the sunflower is all happy and healing, and the cactus is a sniper. It's just fun.
Yep. I hope it catches on. It's kind of, on one hand, it does seem like, they're like, oh, we have the license. It's popular. Why not do something with it? But on the other hand, it's like, this is probably the best possible spin-off. But after that, there was a couple other things. They showed, they showed Battlefield, which we'd already seen. They showed sports games, which are, exciting to their fans, but probably not what our listeners want to hear about.
God damn it. Every single time I hear Battlefield now, I immediately go to, like, Bonnie Tyler and, like, fucking Total Eclipse of the Heart.
As the PopCap representative, like, went to go off the stage, he was just like, Peggle 2! And he did, like, a jump. I don't even know what he was trying to do. It was just, like, a weird half-acrobatic move.
I saw a good gif where he was, like, letting out Pikachu.
Yeah, he basically like looked like he was using the microphone to like throw a Pokeball. But that was like we thought that was like their big announcement. But EA kept coming, man. Star Wars Battlefront was the next thing from DICE, which was pretty exciting. Did you guys see the teaser for that? It was pretty short.
It was just like 5 seconds or something. But it's still Star Wars Battlefront 3. People are going to be freaking.
Yep. It was.
I'm glad they're using it. I'm glad they're using the license.
We had a bunch of people on Twitter and in the Skype chat all trying to take bets before it came out, like which Star Wars property EA would revive. Some people were saying Knights of the Old Republic. I said Rogue Squadron. And I think the only person who said Battlefront was my brother.
And then it is totally Battlefront. They don't have enough specialized game studios to do anything else.
Oh, well, I mean, EA owns BioWare.
I know that, but BioWare is working on Dragon Age 3. We all know they're working on Dragon Age 3, and BioWare isn't a multi-game studio.
Well, that was the next story. Dragon Age 3 showed up, no gameplay footage, but they did have a release date, which is fall 2014, which is a long way away.
I will reserve judgment, but I'm not optimistic. Dragon Age 2 sucked balls.
Well, it sucked balls because it was rushed. I feel like they're giving the team the proper time this go around.
I never really played Dragon Age, so I don't really have anything to say about it.
The first one was great. The first one was excellent. Its control scheme, not so much if you were playing on a console. If you can get the PC version, it's definitely, it was originally made as this like love letter to the old fucking like Black Isle BioWare sort of styled things, and then it got looked at by some console bigwigs, and they were like, you have to bring this to our console, and it didn't translate very well. The second game, Dragon Age 2, had much better control scheme with your actual controller, but the rest of it was balls.
Yeah, it was made in what, like 18 months or something?
Yeah, something like a ridiculous turnaround time.
Yeah, it really gets rushed a lot. That's like the same thing that happened in Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Well, that was
Knights of the Old Republic 2 did not get. Knights of the Old Republic 2 did not get rushed.
It got cut off.
It got to a point in time, and they were like, "It's coming out next month," and Obsidian was like, "What?"
That always made me so mad because I honestly believe if they had all the time to finish it like they wanted to, it would have been better than the original, hands down.
The restored content patches, the mods that you can download, again, if you have the PC version, you can buy the restored content mods that basically put the game back together again. As like the
video games.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I mean, EA, like I keep saying it, man, hit after hit. Then they ended the conference with motherfucking Mirror's Edge 2, which we kind of knew was coming. We've talked about this before. Didn't make it any less exciting.
I was so happy the moment she was running down that hallway. I'm just like, oh my god, Mirror's Edge 2, thank you.
I'm sad because it doesn't look like a Kinect exclusive.
If you go to the official site, I think it's just mirrorsedge.com. There's a letter or like a couple paragraphs from the developers. It's barely out of, if even out of pre-production. Like that, what we saw was like all that exists right now of Mirror's Edge. So we're not going to see it for a couple of years.
Yeah, they had the stones to say that it was all engine footage as well. I mean, like everything we were looking at there was not pre-rendered CG. It was in game. Yeah,
there was definitely some gameplay footage there. There was the fighting. I'm
even confident that the tattoo sequences were probably done in engine.
And if you don't know what Johnny's talking about, they showed Faith getting her tattoos, which she has in the first game, which pretty much, I mean, it's confirmed that the game is a prequel, if not an outright reboot. Not that Mirror's Edge has that much lore to undo or anything.
What?
Corporations rule the world.
You don't know, like, the deep, rich history of Mirror's Edge?
People run around on the roofs because the government is evil. The end.
I could stretch a 600-page book out of that.
Oh, jeez. But that's EA's presser. I think consistency-wise, the strongest we saw. I don't know if you guys want to fight me on that, but
Austin, you forgot the most important part of the conference.
What was that?
EA Sports, man.
I like it. See, here's the thing. We're gonna get off.
Wait. Are they gonna make a new Madden?
No, actually, they said they weren't.
I already answered that, Johnny.
I must have blacked out. I'm so stressed out about this, Austin. Are they gonna make a new Madden?
You guys think you're trolling me, push my buttons? I'll talk about the new offensive line AI. Do you want me to do this? We can have this conversation.
Yeah, you go right on
ahead.
Man.
Go ahead.
And Johnny just mutes and walks away. Yes, they're going to bring out NBA Live 14 for the first time in a couple of years. Like the NBA Live series lapsed for a number of entries, but they're bringing that back. They talked about their true ball tech. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
They're modeling the physics of dribbling. It used to be just kind of canned animation of like when you had the ball just kind of bounced off the court and back into the hand. But now the ball is a physical object existing in the game, and it can be treated as such, which hopefully will, make it more realistic. But I'm hoping it ends up like Backbreaker, where it just makes the whole thing like a ridiculous shit show. That would be funny.
Yeah,
or pre-patch Backbreaker, I should say.
I mean, I have to admit, I'm not a big sports game guy. I just never have been, and I've never really had an interest. But those dribble physics actually were pretty impressive. I'll give them that.
I mean, yeah, even the stuff that people weren't particularly interested in, I think they still respected the way it looked.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think Johnny really did walk away.
Fuck him. We don't need him. Well, let's move into the worst conference personally.
Oh God, lady boners.
It was just awful. It was Ubisoft, who I thought won last year, came and they sucked so hard. I've heard some people disagree. I think Chris Larios, we've had him on the show before, he thought it was awesome, or I think in his word he said it was baller. But they showed up the guitarist.
Are you really gonna baller?
That's what he said. I was quoting.
I'm not going after it, but
They started the show with the guitarist from Alice in Chains playing Man in the Box because of reasons, and then they pulled out Rocksmith, which I guess, I mean, it makes sense. It was just a weird way to open the press conference.
Yeah.
And they launched right into Aisha Tyler. If you remember last year, we made fun of her and her infamous Girlwood comment, which I blame us for this because we made it a big deal. We brought it to everyone's attention, not us personally, the gaming community made a big deal out of the Girlwood thing. She came on stage wearing a shirt that said #Girlwood. We created that monster, and now we have to live with it because she must think she's really funny.
She is really funny, though. That's the thing. She is actually really funny. Like, not when she's doing Ubisoft presentations. She's fucking funny.
Like in her stand-up and stuff?
Her stand-up is pretty decent, but, she's an Archer. She plays Lana in Archer, I'm pretty sure.
None of those words.
She does, doesn't she? I totally forgot about that.
She plays Lana in Archer, and Archer is like one of the funniest fucking television shows around. And
yes, then she can be funny, but I don't. But I respect her in Archer then. But here's the thing: she has no business being in a press conference for games if this is what she does, because she was just annoying.
I don't think that's necessarily after last year's presentation, she wrote a pretty bold defense of her love of gaming and her status as a gamer on her Facebook page that I read, and after I read it, I was like, oh, okay, all right, I respect it now. I can respect that. I feel like you do know what you're talking about, but lady, you've got to get somebody else to write your scripts.
I'm not challenging her credibility as a gamer or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, she's free to take any jobs and play any games she wants to. My point was that it was just hard to sit through. It was really forced, uncomfortable comedy.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
I mean, I'm sure if she plays a lot of games, that's awesome, and I could totally believe it. I mean, more power to her if she does. But it wasn't fun.
That was kind of the theme of Ubisoft's show. Was not a lot of it was very fun. Even the stuff that looked kind of cool. Like they showed a lot of stuff we've already seen. We saw Watch Dogs, Rayman Legends, Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell, Just Dance. I mean, I could just go on. All of these games we've already seen. We already know they exist. Almost no gameplay. There was a little bit like here and there. The two big announcements really. There was like a Rayman Raving Rabbids TV show. I guess that's kind of news. But the two big things was The Crew and The Division, which are both pretty generic names. The Crew is a racing game. They showed lots of gameplay footage for that. Perhaps too much. It dragged on. And The Division, which is a online third-person shooter RPG, which they showed gameplay. It looked pretty good. The problem with that wasn't that it dragged on, but that they tried to capture that Watch Dogs lightning in a bottle by giving it kind of like an obtuse intro video explaining the backstory, and it came off as like silly. Like the Watch Dogs one last year was like, we live in a world connected where anything can be hacked. Your whole life could be stolen at the push of a button. And this time they were like, we live in a world where money is covered in germs. At any moment.
They just need to skip the dramatic intro trailers that don't actually tell you anything and go straight to the gameplay, because both times it's been so much better.
But you guys, we live in a world where if gameplay isn't preceded by an obviously over-labored and overworked narration to explain to people why this is a giant concern, they won't know that they should be concerned about it before we show them that they should be.
It kind of worked with Watch Dogs for a couple of reasons. One is that we hadn't really been prepared for it. This time around, we kind of waited for it to happen. We're like, what are they going to do this year to top Watch Dogs? Also, it's because Watch Dogs actually kind of has a relevant premise. It's like we do live in a world where everything's online and things can be stolen.
It was extremely topical at the time, too.
It may be even more now with the whole NSA spying thing going on.
Well,
at the moment.
Last year, very specifically, just in regards to the whole video games industry, we had seen a lot of hacking attempts. Like, we saw the PSN network get hacked. We saw fucking, oh God, what was the other big one?
Steam had an intrusion.
Yeah, there were a number of them last year, and it was like, video games, you're going to get hacked. I was like, this is relevant. When
they showed the Division intro video, all I kept saying were like snarky responses on Twitter, people saying like, who uses money these days? It was like, I was talking about how it's the virus is going to spread on Black Friday, and everyone's like, we all just do our shopping online these days. It was like nobody was taking it seriously, so it probably hurt it a little bit. But the gameplay looked okay, I guess. It looked like a third-person shooter with like RPG elements. Like they were behind cover shooting guns, and someone's like, drop a heal over here or something. So
I hate the fucking way the people who play their games at these goddamn conferences talk to one another.
You mean like no humans ever?
No fucking humans ever.
But the funny thing was, the guys who played The Division were probably the closest to real life we got, which is the sad part.
No, that would be Destiny at the Sony event. I thought they had the best gameplay showing.
I was just talking during Ubisoft. If you count that too, then yeah.
Yeah. But I think ultimately Ubisoft was a pretty weak show all around. I think the weakest, definitely. They didn't show anywhere near as much as the other people, and the stuff they showed I thought was less impressive. Did anybody?
They didn't really have anything particularly new to bring to the table. I mean, we're all still very excited about Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs got flogged. It was in all 4 press events.
Yeah.
Or all 3, not EA's, obviously. But
yeah. But I mean, like Assassin's Creed 4. Okay, no, that's not the 4th Assassin's Creed game. We all know it.
That was in all 3 major events too, I think.
Yeah. So everything else that they pretty much brought to the table was just kind of like, seen it.
I don't think Ubisoft even should have had a show, probably. They probably could have just put their stuff in the Sony and Microsoft conferences and saved the money.
They pretty much did.
Yeah. I do think it's funny that at Ubisoft's own conference, they had Assassin's Creed and, oh God, what was the other one that had gameplay during another one?
Watch Dogs?
Yeah. They had gameplay they had Assassin's Creed 4 and Watch Dogs during their own conference with no gameplay. But then when Sony came around, they both had a pretty extensive gameplays.
Well, that's because Sony was all like, if you have gameplay, we'll pay you money. As opposed to Ubisoft being like, we're going to spend a bunch of money on this conference. All right, do we have to have gameplay? Nah, fuck it.
Honestly, I thought it would be the other way around. I think if you want to put your game in as many conferences as possible, you save the flashy CG for yourself. I mean, gameplay looks good. We want it, but I mean, when you're a marketing and PR person, you want the most expensive thing are those pre-rendered trailers. You want to keep those for your personal show.
I'm also just going to go ahead and say this, that as far as Ubisoft goes, Stick of Truth.
Oh yeah, that was the thing they showed like a joke from.
Yep. No, I am still excited about it though.
I'm sure it's going to be good. I mean, it was one joke that they showed from it. Once again, I don't think they needed a press conference for that. They could have uploaded that to YouTube.
No, they probably should have.
So that's Ubisoft. A couple of people in the chat were really upset with that. Like as it was going on, they were like screaming for it to end. Like it got pretty heated. A couple people like rage quit by the end of that.
Sean was one of them.
Yeah, Sean fucking he blue screened. I think literally.
Yeah, Sean broke and Gabe got mad.
Gabe was furious. But then a couple hours later, Sony came online, and I mean they had their work cut out for them. They knew Microsoft's price point. They knew that all their policies. They'd seen the games. I don't think obviously they could have changed anything, but from our perspective, all they had to do was top Microsoft really, and they came out and they fucking blew it at the beginning. Like my tone is going to change as this goes on, but when they came out, we were all crestfallen. They said, "Okay, next generation of games, guys. PS Vita." We were like, "What? Excuse me?" And then they went on to just talk about things we'd already seen. They talked about The Walking Dead Season 1. They talked about Final Fantasy X HD and
10-2.
God of War HD and 10-2 HD. Just, oh man, it was we were really upset. They talked about movies and television, all the stuff that Microsoft got crucified for. And it was not looking good. And then they introduced the new exclusive IP from Ready at Dawn Studios, the guys who did the portable God of War. It's called The Order. Have you guys seen the video for that?
I did not see The Order.
Yes, I did. It's basically some sci-fi shooter in Britain.
It's like steampunk Victorian, almost like that Van Helsing movie they did, where everyone's in like fancy 16th century clothes, but they have like
Are
guns.
there zombies?
Werewolves? Was it werewolves?
It was some kind of thing. I don't think it was zombies though. They moved a bit too fast for that.
Okay,
they were like,
but are they going to be making a new Madden game?
They
No.
briefly touched on sports at the Sony thing. All they said was, we know gamers love sports. Here's LeBron James. Hey, LeBron James, how are you? He goes, I'm good. Look at me. I'm in a video game. Okay, thanks, LeBron. Moving on. Like,
it was quick and to the point, as it should.
Yeah.
LeBron James isn't in Madden.
They didn't bring up Madden specifically.
Wait,
That was
are they making a Madden game with LeBron James in it?
not yet. Although they, I think the Microsoft, or no, it was at the EA presser, right? They confirmed Adrian Peterson is on the cover of Madden 25.
Oh yeah, I remember that special cover thing.
Yes, Adrian Peterson, who's on the Vikings, and I hope they lose a lot.
All right. So, anyways, The Order. You're shooting werewolves in London.
Yeah, they didn't show any gameplay, but I mean, I don't know. It's not incredibly original, but it still looked interesting. I'll probably play it, and it's exclusive, and it's a new IP, so it gets a pass, I think.
Is it a new IP?
It is new.
Or is it Hellgate London 2?
It takes ideas from some stuff, definitely, but it's better than what I thought they were going to do, which is show a new Uncharted or a new God of War, which they did not.
That actually surprised me, to be honest.
Yeah. They showed the things that we've seen before. They showed Beyond Two Souls. They showed Infamous Second Son. They showed Knack. They showed Drive Club. All those games we'd already seen. And once again, this was a lull where I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, what are they doing? They're blowing it. They're blowing their chance to top Microsoft. Then they said, hey, look at our indie games. And that was cool. They showed Don't Starve. They showed Octodad, Deadliest Catch. They showed
that name.
Dive Kick was in the...
They showed Dive Kick?
Not a lot. It was like a one screen in a montage of here's the indie games.
Fucking fantastic that they showed Dive Kick.
It was pretty sweet, yeah. And they had some indie guys get up. The Supergiant Games, who made Bastion and are making Transistor. They got up and said, Sony loves indies. I sure wouldn't want to be on a system that didn't love indies. And then they sat down.
Oh, and Outlast. I really am interested in Outlast.
Yep. Red Barrel Studios, their Outlast survival horror game that was up there. So that was a cool thing. They started ramping it up. And this is where I won E3. If anybody says, who won E3? You tell them Austin won E3. Because look at my Sony prediction article, motherfuckers. What did I say? What did I say, Robert?
Yeah, I didn't read it.
You motherfucker. I said Final Fantasy Versus 13 will show up at the Sony press conference, and it will be renamed Final Fantasy 15. And I was right so hard that your grandchildren felt it.
Yeah, you called it.
You were right.
I feel it in my testicles right now.
But I have to say, that announcement was kind of offset for me when they totally sold the PS4 to me.
Damn it, don't you cut in line. Don't you cut in line, Robert. Don't you take this from me.
Yeah, because Kingdom Hearts 3, guys.
Yep, Kingdom Hearts 3 immediately preceded it. They showed a little bit of footage of Sora running from some Heartless. That was like the only gameplay, but Kingdom Hearts 3 exists, Final Fantasy 15 exists. They are coming to the PlayStation 4, but not exclusively. They were careful. They said Final Fantasy 14 is exclusive on consoles, but 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 are just coming to PS4. So keep that in mind. Last game they showed, and the only other, I think, exclusive new IP, technically not a new IP, it's a movie property. I guess technically it's a movie licensed game. Mad Max. Did you guys see the trailer for that?
Saw the trailer for Mad Max. And I had suspected that Avalanche was developing it for some time because some of the devs on Avalanche Studios had leaked or had screenshots leaked over Twitter like a few months ago. And everybody was like, new Just Cause, new Just Cause, new Just Cause. And some dude was like, Mad Max. And, yeah.
Hopefully it plays like Just Cause 2.
That would be fucking perfect is what that was. Would be. I just hope that they get the actor to do the voice. Tom, damn it, no, I'm sorry, my head is getting stuck on Tom Hulse, but that's the guy who was Mozart and Amadeus, and it's not Tom Hulse.
I'll go ahead and say this. I might have misspoken. I don't know if they confirmed that Mad Max is exclusive either.
Tom Hardy. I don't think they did. I don't believe it is Tom Hardy. But yeah, I doubt it because Avalanche does not have a history of being in the pockets of console teams. So I don't think that's likely.
They showed off some exclusives, but almost all of them were already shown off. I mentioned a bunch of them, or they're already on other systems, but only are exclusive to the next gen on PS4. Like Don't Starve and Octodad and stuff. So
what else was there besides the Order was exclusive, but what else was specifically exclusive to PS4, but that was not known before?
Not really much of anything. That's the problem. I was pretty prepared to say that Sony failed. They stepped up to the plate and they missed. They just struck out. And then motherfucking, I can't pronounce his name.
Jack Tretton?
Well, it was Tretton dropped the bomb, but there was like Shu Yoshida showed up, right? And he was trying to save it. He was being all, charismatic, and he was trying to win the crowd back. But yeah, then Jack Tretton came out. And here's the thing, guys. They stopped being subtle. That's how Sony turned it around. They had subtly been taking jabs at Microsoft through the whole thing. They've been like, we love indie games. We love indie developers. Our thing's about gamers, We have Sony Pictures as a label, but, we do other things. Like, they were, beating around the bush. But then they came out and they fucking threw down the gauntlet. Just straight up. They said, PS4 supports used games. They said PS4 does not require internet connection, not even a one-time or a daily check, which, there's no two ways around it. That is a direct reference to the Xbox One. They are calling them out. They just, all of their policies they took to task, one after another, and then they said $399, which is a full $100 cheaper than the Xbox One. How do you come back from that as Microsoft? Every single thing you showed just got systematically beaten.
And I think the best thing was the thing they didn't exactly show at the conference, which is that little video about how you share a game on the PS4.
Yep. You have to see this if you haven't, but if you haven't seen it yet, PlayStation's official YouTube page uploaded a video where I believe it was Yoshida said, this is how you share games on the PlayStation 4. And then there was like a really long musical sting, and then he just hands the game.
Step one.
Sharing the game.
And he just hands it to a guy who's like, thanks.
Which is, I assume everyone gets the joke, but if you guys don't remember, Microsoft's sharing thing is like super convoluted. I saw someone posted a circuit diagram and like took out all the like the symbols and they replaced them with like the actual stuff that Microsoft wants you to do. Like only one friend if they've been on your friends list for 30 days, and there's all this kind of weird shit. So just a direct attack, and I think everyone immediately flipped. They went from this was kind of disappointing to Sony won. Sony slam dunked. They knocked him out. It was just everyone on a dime just decided that Sony won.
It seems like it.
Well, they did this basically go against Xbox and point out every reason why you should have them over an Xbox.
Yeah.
I mean, in a direct comparison, right? There's just no way to really defend the Xbox One against what the PS4 brought in terms of policies. I mean, you could say exclusives, but I don't think Killer Instinct is a system seller. I don't think that Quantum Break is going to be a system seller. Maybe Halo, but
well, Halo is their system seller.
But are you going to drop $500 and then how much is Xbox Live a month?
If it's still the same as it was with the 360, it'd be $60.
Can we be guaranteed that it's going to be the same?
Every year. No, that's the thing.
Also, to just throw this out there.
Yeah, the PSN Plus, how it's going to carry over.
Sony confirmed it's going to stay the same price, and one account will get you free games and internet access and all that good stuff for the Vita, PS3, and PS4.
That is impressive. That's an impressive policy. I am amazed that they had the balls to come out and say that.
But
although
there is that one thing.
Yep, there's a caveat. Of course, they snuck it in there, too. It was really quick in between two, positive things. On the PS4, you will need to be a Plus member to play online multiplayer.
Yeah.
So that right there, it sounds like a pretty big drawback, but that's really just bringing them up to where the Xbox 360 was.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just matching.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as far as bad news goes, I said in my Sony prediction article, there will be bad news. That was probably the best bad news possible.
And hopefully it will mean, too, that actually, like, Sony will be putting some money into properly developing their online architecture and structure.
Oh, yeah.
So that there won't be this, like, pervading attitude where it's sort of like, well, blah, 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 Sony, but Microsoft's online architecture, because the only reason why the Xbox has had any success with its online capability is because they have a constant influx of money to properly develop the infrastructure.
I mean, if you thought that Live gave the 360 an edge over the PS3,
it does not anymore. Like
yeah.
that's the thing. Like that is a level playing field now.
Jack Tretton just went around with a sledgehammer and just knocked out all of the pillars that held up Xbox as a brand, basically.
More or less. Yeah. They went in there with a sniper rifle.
It was surgical, guys.
You can even see that Microsoft's trying to follow in with Sony's whole PlayStation Plus angle, because now they're giving out a few extra games every month. Like, oh, you're with Xbox Live Gold, of course we'll give you some games for free. When didn't we do that?
I don't know if they confirmed it was going to be every month. They said if you have Gold, you will get Assassin's Creed 2 and Halo 3. I don't know if they said that it's going to be a thing that's going to keep going.
Oh.
I'd be interested to hear if they've confirmed that. I think some of us assumed that. It would be nice. I mean, Xbox Live could use some extra value. I think if they started giving away games like the PlayStation Plus, I would be open to that.
Yeah, but Austin, TV.
Dude, Sony came so close to blowing it there. I don't know what they thought they were doing, but they brought up the TV people. Wow.
Well, they were probably, let's be clear, there's an audience for that. There's an audience for casual gamers or people who have bought Xboxes or whatever because they're an easy way to get Netflix on your TV. Because these people don't know how to wire their fucking laptops to an HD TV, right? So they're like, well, if I buy an Xbox, I can get Netflix. So that's what you do, is that you grab these people who are passingly interested enough so that you're like, you can do all this with TV. And they're like, holy shit, I can do all that with TV? And then you lead into the people who are going to sit around and grumble and be like, fucking video game conference and show some fucking gameplay footage. Just son of a bitch, Microsoft. God damn it.
Johnny. I fully recognize that there are people who want to see those kind of features. My point isn't even that they just were brought up. It's that they weren't presented well. The performance floundered. There was no energy. There was no feelings of enthusiasm
I'm
or
go ahead and say it. When have you ever seen an E3 presentation that was well rounded out as a presentation? Like the
E3,
the presenter came out. The presenter came out, and you were like, "I like this guy."
I will tell you right now, the Electronic Arts presentation today, dude, that guy was so fucking pumped about Peggle 2.
He was.
Dude, he was pumped.
But I honestly think they handled the TV thing pretty well. I mean, there's only so interesting you can make it, and they were pretty much short and to the point. Here's our TV. Okay, let's move on.
I don't know. I thought the way they handled sports was better. I thought they came out and they said, sports, here they are, bam, they moved on. I thought the TV thing dragged. Maybe, I mean, I haven't slept in 20 hours. Maybe my perception of time is skewed, but they almost lost me there. And that's why I say, even though Sony dropped some of those bombs, the price point, the used games, internet, the lack of an internet requirement, I don't think they really won. Although we'll have to wait for Nintendo tomorrow. Maybe they will come with, Metroid and Star Fox, and then we'll have to say they won.
I don't know. If they fill it all with it.
I'm not sure that Nintendo's really in the running for winning these things anymore.
They're coming with Mario Kart and Smash Brothers. If they show up with Metroid and Star Fox, they win. I don't care. That's just how that's going to work, Johnny. You're going to have to live with that.
No, I'm not saying that I don't.
I'm going to need you to lie back and accept it.
I am not saying that they won't succeed. That's not what I'm suggesting. All I'm suggesting is that they seem to exist a world apart.
I don't think they care if they win. I still say that they can, whether they like it or not.
I suppose it's possible, yeah.
Yeah. Nintendo's always gone to the beat of its own drum. It just kind of does what it wants. It doesn't answer to no one.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. They just sort of show up. It's like they're not even. It's like it's a race. And you've got all these guys, like, wearing numbers, and they're like, I'm going to win, I'm going to win, I'm going to win. And Nintendo just shows up and starts running, and they're like, dude, where's your number? And he's like, oh, I'm not in the race.
It's like Forrest Gump. Didn't he do that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and what always happened to Forrest Gump?
Well, it depends, because, I think it was implied that he got AIDS, didn't I don't know if that's happened in Nintendo.
Are you trying to ruin a good movie for me, Austin?
I don't know. Apparently, I haven't read the book, but apparently in the book of Forrest Gump, he goes to the moon with a chimpanzee or something.
Really?
So
you're a weirdo, Austin.
I didn't write Forrest Gump.
How do I know that? Huh?
Yeah, maybe you did.
If I wrote Forrest Gump, I'm pretty sure I'd have enough money, or I wouldn't have to be up at 1 o'clock in the morning talking about video games.
Yeah, but maybe you like to do these things.
I do not. I'm so tired. I'm not going to go to sleep. I have to edit this, and I have to upload it, and then I got Nintendo Direct.
Well, that seems like a reasonable enough cutting point for me, if you guys want to call it then.
Is this, you guys don't want to, are we done with the podcast?
Is there more, or do you guys want to talk about what you played? Because I can tell you what I played this week. Sweet fuck all!
That's my favorite game right there, man. How'd you enjoy it?
It was, the gameplay was as varied as doing things like going to bed in a great amount of pain from lifting furniture, putting together way too much fucking IKEA, moving a bunch of small shit around. It was, I fucking hated this week, man.
I played Penny Arcade on the Rain Slick Precipice of Darkness 4. My review's on the site. Read it with your face. Do that.
I will. See, I haven't even had the chance to, keep up with fucking BT articles and shit like that, which I always do, but...
We wrote, 50 articles today, Johnny.
No, I know that.
Well, to be fair, Gabe wrote, 50 articles. I just did the Twitter. I don't know if you saw that. If you noticed that the Blister Thumb's Twitter was particularly weird today, that was me.
Dude, I haven't even been reading my Twitter. Right now, the Twitter on my phone is frozen at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday.
Yeah, that's not going to be a pleasant read. It's going to be 40,000.
It's going to be a long slog, but I'm going to do it for you, and then I'm going to tell you that you're fucking strange.
Yeah, I
don't need to wait, Austin. You're a weirdo.
Pretty much. Robert, did you play anything?
I've been really busy this week too, but I did manage to pick up Metro Last Light and start playing it.
That's a game.
I like it.
Did you shoot some dudes?
I did shoot some dudes. I also punched them in the back of the head with a knife.
That'll teach them.
Indeed.
Yeah, they will learn a very distinct lesson after being punched in the back of the head with a knife.
That knives are sharp?
Yep, seems like an important lesson to learn.
Oh, I forgot one thing about the conferences that you guys didn't have. I mean, I guess, Robert, you saw some of this. Johnny, you didn't suffer from any of this? Because all day, audio glitches. Jesus Christ.
No, I got some weird audio glitches in the Sony conference.
Okay, because I mean,
Sony is the thing. There was the volume issues in Microsoft, and I swear throughout the entire EA conference, someone forgot to turn a mic off.
Yeah, there was definitely a mic that was on where it shouldn't have been, because all throughout the conference, they kept hearing people like whispering, like, yeah, okay, yeah, I got it, hey, just was like, shut the fuck up. I mean, yeah, the Crimson Dragon thing cut out. There was a whole thing just went down. Do you remember that? Was that Battlefield 4?
I really liked it when Assassin's Creed 4 crashed.
That
something happened a couple times during the Sony one. Yeah, there was that.
No, wait,
and
I think it was Battlefield that crashed, and then they just went straight into Assassin's Creed 4.
There was a couple of things. During Microsoft's, Battlefield 4 didn't work, and then they fixed it and they got it working. During Sony's, something crashed, and then there was another one that looked like it fast-forwarded the stream. That wasn't on site, obviously. I don't know. But something happened.
There were a lot of weird glitches.
It was weird. Yeah, all around.
It's all new technology. Everybody's trying to rush it out the door as fast as they possibly can.
I don't know if I can trust people to be making consoles if they can't get their streaming working. I feel like that should be a smaller hurdle.
Austin, I'm going to tell you a very, very simple fact about this world that may blow your mind. Mostly everybody's incompetent.
Yeah, I'm beginning to suspect that.
It doesn't matter what echelons of the game, business, like social circles, whatever you're looking for, mostly everybody pretty much head in the sand, doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
So,
my thoughts are all over the place. They didn't show The Last Guardian at all.
No, they didn't.
Are you surprised? It's probably being repurposed for next-gen systems now.
I thought they were going to show that it was being repurposed for next-gen systems. I thought
maybe it'll be like Final Fantasy. Maybe it'll be like Last Guardian 15.
Maybe they're being bullied, and then they're going to give it to Arcane Studios to rework.
Do we have time for that?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Well, I think just real quick, I want to say the reason I held out hope for The Last Guardian, it's not like I was just being irrational. That the guy, like the director of it, he left the studio, but he said that we'd have new news. He said 3 months ago, keep an eye out, I have an announcement, and it's just fucking nothing. So
maybe he's going to Kickstarter.
Maybe. Seems like everyone is.
So quick update, guys. We talked was the last time or maybe the time before, about Prey 2. Prey 2 had dropped off the face of the earth. No one knew. Was the last time? No one knew what was going on. Arcane Studios, maybe they had it. And then a report came out. IGN interviewed some developers who probably wished to remain anonymous, who said they had some inside information about what happened. Basically, Bethesda is a bag of pulsating penises.
I think that's fair to say.
When they figured out that Prey 2 looked amazing, basically they decided that they wanted to own Human Head Studios. And so they reneged on some of their verbal contracts. They started basically failing their milestones unfairly. That's the report that, they were saying that it didn't look up to snuff when it clearly did. So as to put pressure on the team. And then they started bidding to buy the studio. And when it became apparent that they weren't going to own Human's Head, they basically just waited their contract out and kicked him out the door. So now Bethesda owns the IP and some of the completed work, maybe, but they're probably not going to use it, and they're just going to kick it over to Arcane. So the situation looks like all that good shit we saw out of Prey 2 is ruined.
Not necessarily.
Once again, none of this is confirmed. This is the story. I'm reporting it.
Even if it was confirmed, I mean, it's not necessarily the case that Human Head Studios' work will go unused in the actual game. We don't know that. We don't know that for a fact. But it is certainly one of the seedier stories to come out of publisher-dev relationships, I think, in the past few years.
Yeah.
If that's true, then just wow, speechless.
Yeah, it's pretty goddamn unpleasant if that is indeed the case. I mean, you know, like for a long time now, I've kind of felt sort of leery about the developer-publisher relationship, but to have something like this come out of the woodwork and to be like, as someone who loves games, to actively be denied something that looked amazing and looked like a love letter to gamers. It looked like something that I wanted to play that would have been, without a doubt, I feel, a contender for Title of the Year, for Game of the Year for me. You know, to have a publisher who owes all of its well-being to an audience that would have benefited from the publishing of a product like that, to see them withhold amazing work so that they could make a purchase. It's thankless, it's disrespectful, it's cutthroat, it's unpleasant, it's damaging to the industry, it's damaging to the art form. I don't know what else to say. I am embarrassed for them if that's the case.
Guys, I gotta break in here. Someone just tweeted a thing. I might use this as like the title card. Someone edited Wikipedia for the entry for Jack Tretton, the CEO of Sony. It says at the top of his bio, Jack was charged with the murder on June 10th for the slaying of Microsoft's Xbox One.
Oh dear. Oh, you know, that actually reminds me. There's one other thing I wanted to talk about with Sony's presentation. That Quantic Dream tech demo.
Oh, yeah, that was funny.
I like that.
I didn't see that. What was that?
Well, basically, it was showing the Dark Sorcerer with this obviously evil guy summoning the forces of hell and fire to rain and burn down the world, and then it just, like, cuts out as if it was in a movie studio. And just, I'm so sorry. I just can't remember that last line. What was that? And the whole thing goes on between, like, the director and the game characters, all rendered in, admittedly, really good-looking CGI right there. Not CGI, graphics. But it was just funny. I mean, pretty much everyone in the chat just laughed at it, because it's good.
All right. Maybe I'll go watch that.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah. I think David Cage would be a lot better if he had a sense of humor about himself. Because did you see what they showed for Beyond Two Souls? I was livid. Not that it didn't look good. It didn't look good. But it was the exact opposite of every word that's ever come out of his dirty whore mouth.
Yeah, I know. I thought it looked very different from everything we've seen up to this point, too.
He says, you know, it's so hard to get a mature, emotional game published because all the industry wants is games with guns and car chases. Motherfucker brings his goddamn game with guns and car chases. That's all that was in the video.
And
are you surprised? Take a step back here and remember that we're fucking talking about David Cage.
I don't care.
Austin?
He's a liar. He's such a liar.
Yeah, he is. He's a total liar. He's got, like, he thinks so incredibly highly of himself because when he uses guns and car chases, he uses them differently.
No, they look exactly the same.
No, I know that. I am trying to be ironic here. You know, but that's what it is. He is so muddled and confused by his own goals in the industry that when he falls into the same goddamn traps, he sees it as being different because he's doing it for special reasons.
I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but apparently this is just a thing. Wikipedia is being, like, inundated with this. Someone just edited a list of burn centers in the United States, and one of them is Sony Entertainment acted as the burn center for Microsoft employees following E3 2013.
This is not going to stop for a long time.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not sure I'd want it to stop.
The conclusions are pretty easy to come to.
I mean, if you guys, this might be just a short episode. We hit all the major points. Do you guys want to? First of all, do we all kind of agree that Sony topped Microsoft?
Yeah. I said it earlier in the cast. I think they stepped on them.
Yeah, I'd say they did better.
I think Microsoft brought better games and brought more games. I was fully prepared to give that to them, and I would have had no problem coming on here and saying Xbox One turned me around, but not with the way Sony ended theirs. Just they beat the price point, and they have just more pro-consumer policies. I don't think you can argue with that. Are you guys worried about the viability of the Xbox One? I've talked before about how consumers, a large swath of them anyway, are uninformed and will basically take whatever is fed to them. So is this an issue? Are people going to buy the Xbox One anyway?
Well, there's always going to be a group of people who will buy each of the consoles because they come from that company. It's guaranteed, and there's nothing anyone could do to stop that. But beyond that, yeah, there's going to be some people who are uninformed and will buy whatever they feel like buying. But I'd like to think that a good portion of the consumer base is actually at least a little bit informed about what's going on. And from how everyone talks, regardless of how well the Xbox does, everyone's saying PS4 was better in everything that mattered that wasn't exclusives. Because objectively, Xbox did have more exclusives that mattered.
For my own money, I'm going to go ahead and make the distinction here that this generation of consoles can still be can be like one, because like as gamers and gaming journalists, we often tend to talk in that sort of absolutism of like winning and being in the lead and things like that. That this generation can be won by a company, but that doesn't necessarily mean that its competitors are failures.
So you think that this might give Sony the quote-unquote lead, but that Xbox One will still be technically successful?
I do think that that's the case. I mean, I agree with you in a certain sense that there's a large contingent of consumers out there that just either don't care or just aren't informed. You're going to get a lot of kids asking for Xboxes for Christmas and things like that. There's going to be a lot of parents that are buying them. The only people that you really need to worry about are really the specialized users. And even then, I think you're going to get a lot of specialized users that are probably buying the console anyway for the exclusives. But then when, fucking the Phantom Pain comes out, they're going to grab the PS4 version because they would rather, like play on the console that they don't have to have like internet problems with. So I don't think that Microsoft is going to lose money and the Xbox is ever going to be seen as a total failure, but it is going to lose ground in esteem and I think in high-end market battles. And you know what, though? That might be enough. It might be enough because we are talking about an industry that struggles really hard to chase the top dog. If you're making a first-person shooter, you're making a Call of Duty killer. If you're making an MMO, you're making a World of Warcraft killer. They're all about taking the top spot. And if Microsoft, after like a year or two of the Xbone being out, decides that Sony is way ahead in the numbers, they may start double-thinking some of their policies.
Well, do you think that process begins now? If you're in the Xbox division over there right now, are you panicking, or are you just like taking it in stride and we'll see what happens?
There's probably some nerves, probably a few jangled nerves over there. I don't think there's any panic because I really do believe that this last console generation led Microsoft believe that they had the golden ticket, that they knew what gamers wanted, they were giving it to them, they they had all this like ad revenue on Xbox Live. It was like, yeah, with this and that and casual and TV and blah and blah and blah and blah, we've got this. I think that there's probably, there's a little bit of nerves going on over there, but I get the feeling that kind of hubris, especially coming from Microsoft. We're talking about a company that they will stand behind reviled operating systems. They will just adhere so doggedly to them and be like, no, this is the best one ever. This is the best one ever. And then the next one comes out and they're like, Windows Vista? No, I don't remember what you're talking about. And like Windows 8 is the same thing is happening right now. They're holding on to it. They're like, no, Windows 8 is the best. You've got to use Windows 8. And then 9's going to drop 10 months from now or a year from now or something. And they are going to conveniently forget that Windows 8 ever existed. So I think it's going to take a while for that hubris, them having convinced themselves that the Xbox, they called it the Xbox One. Like that is them being like, yeah, it's the one. You know, it's not like a sleek name, it's not clever, it's not just like no nonsense about it. They sat around for fucking weeks at a time and were like, what are we going to call the new Xbox? And some dude was like, wait, I know. This is like the only machine you need. It is the one. And they took that seriously. So it's going to be, I think they're going to learn some lessons in the end, but I think it's going to take a little while before they actually realize that, I think it's going to take a while before they realize that they might have screwed the pooch on a couple of things.
Well, I think, do you anyway predict that this could be a double-edged sword? Let's say that the PS4 comes out strong, right? And, there is the possibility that the Xbox One sees that and it goes, okay, we got to change our policies. We got to do a firmware update. We'll drop the, that 24-hour check-in stuff, right? That could be the possibility. But what if it happens the other way around? What if the Xbox One comes out strong, PS4 flounders a little bit, and then does that send the message that Sony needs to adopt some of these things? Do we see that being the end of owning your own video games?
I don't think it necessarily says that Sony has to adopt some things, but it will set a disturbing precedent in the sense that it makes it apparently clear that it's okay. I
mean, that's what I worry about, because when they said it, they said PS4 supports used games. I said yes. They listened. Now we all buy the PS4 and we reward them for listening to our message. But if we don't, then they're never going to trust us again.
Well, the thing is that it's not just about spending your money on a PS4. It's about spending your money on a PS4 and not spending your money on an Xbone.
Yeah.
Because if you buy both, what you are saying is both of these options are okay with me. That doesn't mean that Microsoft lost a sale to Sony. It means that Microsoft and Sony both gained sales.
Exactly. I think this has the potential to be bad as much as it does good. I think we could stand firm and say that we will not take certain things lying down and that we want certain rights. But at the same time, people who are uninformed or just fanboys, whatever, could very well send the opposite message, that we will take basically anything you give us and that we don't care about having rights to our own property, and then that future generations don't even worry about it. And it just becomes a non-issue because they already know we'll take it.
Yeah, I think that's always been a bit of an issue in video games, in that every time that a developer or a console manufacturer or anyone gives the consumers and fans what they want, there's always a fairly good chance it won't work. And if it won't work, then, well, why would they try again when it failed so much for them?
That's actually the same reaction I had when they announced Mirror's Edge 2. I said, yes, Mirror's Edge 2. Hopefully we all buy it now, because if it fails again, they're going to shelve the IP forever.
Yeah.
You barely get second chances. You do not get third chances.
No, you do not. No.
And so as excited as I am to hear the news, coming out of the Sony conference on a pretty good high, I'm a little pessimistic that it won't work out for them and that we will see any future consoles following the Xbox model. So,
all right, humanity, I'm talking to you. Don't disappoint.
It's up to us, guys. Can't fuck this one up.
We are the champions of gamers.
Actually, it's probably going to come down to just parents.
Yeah, probably.
Who don't know any better.
But
Christmas lists will decide the future of an entire artistic medium.
Almost.
Pretty excited about that.
Sometimes I kind of feel like that's, I don't know, man.
Honestly, I can't say I was prepared to hear that sentence today.
I was, when I woke up this morning, I was like, I can't wait till the podcast, because then I'll just be like, hey guys, I'm super excited to have a gaming PC and a 3DS. But now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I think that PS4 thing went about as good as it could have. $400 and exclusives, no online requirements, used games. It's like, I'll add that to my living room.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I love my PC. Don't I, baby? Yeah, that's right. Looking good today. How you doing?
Look, you can start making out when the podcast is over. You don't have to do it right now.
I don't have to, but I kind of want to.
Johnny, were you going to finish that thought?
Huh?
Did you have any more to that thought, or were you just gonna?
Sorry, I got a little distracted.
I know.
I am probably not going to buy a console. You know, I did not buy a console this generation. I'm probably not going to buy one next generation. I'm going to stick with the tower here, and will probably enjoy myself very thoroughly with it. But in all honesty, if gun to my head, if dollars in hand, I would buy a PS4.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they could have shown anything that you would have been like, yes, day one buy, because that's just not the situation you find yourself in with your preferences.
That's true. That's not the kind of guy I am.
But I think you can kind of observe the situation and say, if I was in the gaming console market, that would have won me over. So
absolutely. I mean, I don't feel that Microsoft is coming to the table with, as much as I love Remedy Entertainment, that's the only one that I'm like, oh, I would like to play that game. But I'm not like, I would like to pay $100 more so I can pay $70 so I could connect to the internet once a day to play that game. It's like, no.
While the Kinect watches you.
While the Kinect watches me.
And it's also worth noting that some of those quote-unquote exclusives may not stay exclusive forever. I think, for example, Below, the Super Brothers studio game, that might eventually come to PC or iOS. I think Dead Rising maybe eventually shows up on PC. So I don't know if even you can justify a Xbox One purchase on the strength of those exclusives, unless talking about Halo. I think Halo is a lock, definitely. But
yeah, it always is.
I mean, guys, remember Alan Wake was 360 exclusive?
True.
Yeah.
And now it's on Steam, so.
And I enjoyed it.
Alan Wake was great, man.
It was. Excellent atmosphere. Underrated game. Maybe a little repetitive in its basis of action segments, but when you really think about it, what game isn't?
I loved some of those story pages you could pick up, like the one where Alan Wake reads a page. That was awesome.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much more self-aware than that.
Yeah. Although, did you guys see that thing coming from Sam Lake? That little heart-to-heart he had with the fans about why... That was sad. I was sad.
It's classy as fuck.
Yeah, it looked like he really wanted to. But
I was kind of amazed that somebody was being that, honest in the games industry, where it was like, yeah, we wanted to make this game, but we couldn't because we're poor motherfuckers, and that's kind of sad. So we had to move on, and, these people gave us money to make games, and we like to make games, and you like to play games, so it worked out for everybody. We're sorry. Hopefully Alan Wake will be back in the future. We love you guys. And I was like, don't go.
Yeah. On the off chance that Sam Lake is listening to this podcast, the incredibly off chance, you're a classy guy, man.
I wanted to give him a hug after that.
Remedy seems like good people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like their mojo. They work it.
So I don't know what we're going to call this episode. I don't know if we said anything funny. This was one of our game episodes. I know people fucking hate those, but sorry. Just how it worked out.
Just say random things here at the end until we find something.
It's be like vulva. Just throwing
Sampras.
Johnny, do you want to talk about Game of Thrones so we could exit this conversation?
Well, this week on the BT podcast, a bunch of boring dudes talked way too much about video games.
I apologize. We'll talk about butts next week.
Butts!